basically everything below it's going to stop working. All right, so still talking about 7 fundamentals. First one, we got a stance, then we got grip. The next 2 kind of go hand in hand, which is sight alignment and sight picture, okay? So with sight picture, it can depend on whether you're running irons or a red dot. So sight alignment is, everybody's more or less heard the term equal height, equal light, meaning my front sight and my rear sight are equally lined up height-wise and left to right, meaning equal height and equal light between the front and rear. So with irons, you need to make sure that you have equal height, equal light, because anytime that they're off, that round is not going where you want it to go. So you need to make sure that they're stacked in alignment and aligned left to right. With a red dot, more or less, just try to keep the dot as centered in the glass as possible. It's not super important with any modern optics because there's not a ton of parallax, but you don't want to be always shooting with the dot like on the top right of the glass. You want to try to get it as centered as possible, okay? So with sight alignment, again, remember equal height, equal light, and the dot, try to keep it in the middle of the glass as much as possible. With sight picture, that's where things start to change a lot. So with sight picture, everybody has heard, you know, target's blurry, front sight's clear, rear sight's blurry. The problem with that is at 5-7 yards, nobody's paying attention to their front sight and everything else is blurry, right? Because at those distances, 1, you don't have time to start focusing on those things, and 2, it's not really a necessity to be hyper focused on that front sight, because if you're off a little bit, it's like a cone, right? Like a cone of deviation. So if you're off by 1 inch at 7 yards, it's going to get worse and worse as the farther back you go, because that angle is getting greater and greater, right? So at those close-in distances, your sight alignment doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, so you don't need to hyper focus on that front sight post, again, because we don't have time. At those distances, you don't have time to start hyper focusing on, oh, what is my sight doing? What is this? What is that? You have to get those rounds off as accurately as you can in the time that you're given, which is not very much, okay? So with sight picture, it changes depending on 1, your skill set, and 2, your distance, okay? Not everybody's going to be able to start focusing on the front sight, you know, at 7 yards, at 10 yards, at 15 yards. It's going to depend on you and your ability with whatever weapon system you're using, and for you to know that, right? So that is where going to the range and training and seeing where do I need to start hyper focusing on that front sight post versus not necessarily point shooting, but not having that front sight in full 100% clarity. It's just kind of, it's clear enough, but you're not like hyper focused on it like you would be at, you know, 25, 50 yards. So knowing that for yourself with what weapon system and what distance you're at is very important, not only for range stuff, but also in any kind of real life situation. You want to know, I'm X amount of yards away, I need to start focusing on that front sight post, or I'm super close, I don't need to worry about the front sight post, I just need to get rounds off because I don't have enough time, okay? With a red dot, more or less, you're always going to be focused on the target, right? Let that dot basically superimpose itself on the target, but your focus, your focal point is always the target. You don't need to be shifting back and forth between target front sight post, target front sight post like you would with irons, which is why it is becoming more and more popular, because it's taking steps out of the process of actually firing the gun accurately, especially at close distances. So with irons, you need to know for yourself and what weapon system you're using, what distance you need to start focusing on that front sight post versus when you need to start focusing on the target when you're going back and forth. So with a red dot, again, you're always going to be target focused, and you're superimposing that dot onto the target and making those shots. I'll turn this off. I thought I did, but yeah, it's upside.